live online class with Rob Ragazine, hosted by the Awakened Radio Network. When? January 25th, 2014 through April 5th. It's a bi-weekly class for 6 weeks. What time? 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. Where? To the comfort of your own home. Do you know what your dreams mean? Do you know how they might be offering guidance and direction to you? Can you use your dreams to learn more about current or past issues? Want to find out? Rob Ragazine will bring you his insights, his intuition, years of research and personal one-on-one with clients into a bi-weekly class that lasts 1.5 hours here on the Awakened Radio Network. You can find out how to interpret, how to understand the messages in your dreams. Come to awakenedradio.net today. Look at the top where it says Exploring Dreams. Get all the information and register to find out dream analysis, dream symbols, dream fragments, forgiveness, health, abundance, meditation, stress, dream drama, archetypes, all manner of information that you need, step-by-step guidance, plus a lot of fun in a live classroom setting where you interact with other students as well as Rob as he walks you through the definitive, the best explanation of what your dreams mean and teaches you to interpret your dreams for your own wisdom and your own answers. Remember, awakenradio.net. You look towards the top of the page under the banner where it says Exploring Dreams. Get all the details, register, and sign up for Exploring Your Dreams in 2014 and beyond. Invite your family, your friends to join you.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello my friends and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio. This is your host Pernilla Lillerose. Welcome back to this Tuesday morning. We're here every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in case this is your first time. And if you like what we're talking about here, what we're sharing, of course, I invite you back every Tuesday morning and join in. You're always welcome to join in whether you want to go to the chat room, which is at awakenedradio.net/live chat room. Here you can introduce yourself, say hello to me, to other people who are in the chat room, and just make yourself comfortable. Be part of this. That's what my vision is, that we are really here doing this work together, sharing this love, this wisdom, this evolution. We are not on our own anymore. And you're always welcome to call in if you have anything you like to share, or if you have a question, if you need help with something. I am here for you. And the number to call is 334-649-7204. That's 334-649-7204. This is a way to interact specifically on the subject of the day that we are sharing here. I know for some of you it's been very, very helpful what we've been going through here for the past weeks or months, and I'm just so grateful to get your feedback, sometimes through Facebook, sometimes through emails. It really makes me happy, and it makes me, really feel like, yes, this is what I'm here for. And it's lovely to know that it has an impact, because I know in my own life that what I'm sharing with you here is not just something from a storybook. This is my own life, and I only share with you what I have experienced myself, what I have found out works for my own awakening, my own liberation, and specifically embodiment of that wakeful state. Usually I don't quote what other people say unless it's something that I'm really living myself or something that I am aspiring to live by. Because we do inspire each other, and I think it's so important that we have each other to be inspired by and something to aspire to, that we can feel alive in our next step in our evolution, in our evolution towards full freedom. Because let's face it, guys, none of us are yet fully free. It's very hard to be fully free as long as we live in a world that is in total contraction and imprisoned. So I talk sometimes about, it's great to wake up to who you are, and you can start implementing and living that in all the areas of your life where you see that fit. But then we keep bumping into the world, quote unquote, out there, which is, of course, just a reflection of our own consciousness. But as long as we bump into limitations in the outside world, and God knows there's plenty of them right now, because all that contraction that we have been living by and under and believed in and simply taken on as truth is all being reflected on the outside world. And it's fine to go out and do something about it. I think that's a very important piece of it. But the most important part of it is that we start liberating all the parts inside of us that are not free because we are holding them back. We are keeping them imprisoned, sometimes consciously, most of the time unconsciously. But it doesn't really matter as long as we hold something in a contraction. It's as if we block the flow of the divine expression to manifest itself fully in this plane of existence. It's not that it's not here, but the way we are experiencing it is in a contorted, contracted, or not distorted and contracted, limited way, because we hold something in our consciousness as if it's true. And it may be true for a certain state of consciousness. It is true for a certain state of consciousness. And we have been living in a state of consciousness where we live in limitation and fear and contraction and separation. But the more you wake up to who you are, the more you will realize that these belief systems and these contractions and states of consciousness, it's almost like they're young, it's like it's time to grow out of them into something more wise, more adult, more mature, more full. So there is never anything about that it's wrong or we should judge ourselves, which, by the way, we mostly do. But that just keeps us in that contracted fear state, and it prevents us from blossoming fully into who we can become in the next moment, and the next, and the next. It's never ending, but it is an ongoing evolution. And the more we can tune into that evolutionary impulse or that evolutionary process, it's like we're taking a ride. We get on the energy ride of moving to the next state of evolution as a collective. We have outgrown the old. Most of us may be an exaggeration, but most people that I know, probably all people that I know, we feel complete with that contracted state where there's limitation, where there's comparing, competing, fear, lack, hate, war. It's like, okay, I have lost interest. I have put my energy into that consciousness for many, many lifetimes, probably, but I feel done. I don't want to do it anymore, right? And here we are. Most of us are so stuck in the old energies because we have been feeding them and feeding them and feeding them for so long that we have, we fed them a lot of our energy, so they're strong, these thought forms, they're strong and convincing. And yes, it takes a little while, sometimes a long while, to get to the bottom of many of them. Some are easy. Some you can just say, oh my God, I'm so done with that. And you are done. That moment. Bingo. Out. See you later. I don't want to interact with you again. But then there are these sticky ones. The sticky ones that we have fed over and over and that we believe are so true. Oftentimes because all of society as a whole, we have bought into these beliefs. And they can be a little harder to fully move through and liberate. And when you look around in the world and you see everybody is believing a certain thing, you need a lot of strength. You need a lot of self-confidence to trust that what you're feeling and what you're experiencing is actually true, even though it looks like the whole wide world is believing something different, something opposite. That's where you need to learn to stay strong and allow this new knowledge or this new longing or wisdom or inspiration to learn to trust that in the midst of resistance from many, many, many people. And sometimes it feels like everybody. And many times it starts in our own little family, right? Where we're being rejected or say, oh, come on, you don't believe that, do you? Or look at everybody else is doing it this way, right? So we keep getting these messages that we should not trust this new wisdom or this new longing or this new vision or dream that we have inside. And it's a shame. I say it's a shame. It's not really a shame. We are collectively waking up to this new energy. And the reason that I'm offering this show every week is because I want to feed that new energy in you, in me, so that it can grow, so that the old one is going to be starving. Yeah, the form of it will starve, so that the form can transform. It can change into a new form. It's all still the same energy, but it's going to be more expansive, more inclusive, more loving, more connected. And if you check in with yourself right now, isn't that what you long for? Isn't that why you're listening here today? Because there's something in you that is longing for that? I want to invite you to take a breath into that longing right now. And let you know that you can trust that. This is not a mistake. And it does not mean that you got it wrong or you're too sensitive or, you believe in pie in the sky. If you really feel into that energy that wants something different than what the world is offering and expressing today, that is it, my friend. That is what you can trust. And that's what you need to put your energy into. It's really, really helpful, and I would say it's actually essential. If you want to give birth to this new energy, this vision in your heart, you need to give it a lot of energy, a lot of attention. It's really helpful to sit down with that longing in your heart or in your belly or in your chest. Sit down and just feel it. You can do it right now. What is it that you are longing for? What world do you envision is possible to live in for all of us? And what if that's the truth? What if this energy is showing you a preview of upcoming attractions so that you can make yourself available for it? Wouldn't it be a shame if you just squashed it and said, oh, that preview? Oh, no. Put it in the trash. I want to go and watch the reruns where we're mean to each other and we're lacking and suffering and struggling. Right? That's the old energy, and a lot of us still have some kind of stickiness to that. I can certainly find it in me, layer after layer as I keep dropping into my being and beingness. I keep meeting layers that have been preventing me from fully living it. And that's how it is for all of us. I have not met anybody yet who is fully free and just fully living that. And those who do or are on the verge of doing it, they're not so welcome in the world. Sometimes they get killed, have you noticed? And it's because the old energy doesn't want that, because it means that it's the end of the old energy and it's trying to fight for its life. Just like any energy, it whatever is wants to perpetuate itself. But here we're transforming it. It's not like it's going to be, we have to get rid of it or kill it or squash it. We need to allow that form, the belief systems that take shape, right, as a form. We need to allow them to be transformed by the deeper longing in our heart, in our chest. That's the energy that will transform it. But we are the portals or the conduits for this to happen. And the way we make this happen is by allowing it. And today I always try and find a title for my shows. Today I call it Allowing the Bridge to Heaven and Oneness. That is what allowing is to me. It's the bridge to heaven and to oneness. And then the flip side of that is resisting is the bridge to hell and separation. That's what we have been living under. We have been living in and as resistance. You might say resistance to what? Well, resistance to almost anything. We are resisting our pain, our feelings that we don't like to feel, painful feelings, sad feelings, fearful feelings. We're resisting all of them, aren't we? And we are also resisting the new vision that lives in our heart, that wants to take birth through and as you and as me. We have been resisting that too. So we kind of live in this bundle of resistance. And the only thing that we are not resisting is our hope. We are still hoping for things to get better. But hope is not enough. Hope can be very elusive if it's not backed up with some action, with an energy to make it happen, with some steps to take towards that which we're hoping for, which is really what we're longing for. But as long as it's just hoping for it, it can be, it's lacking something. It doesn't have the substance and the aliveness that it takes to make it real. So we're not going to squash the hope either, but we want to fire up the hope. We want to get you more and more in touch with the longing that's underneath the hope. The hope is almost like when the mind takes hold of it but doesn't do anything about it. But when we drop into the longing, it's an energy that's very, very potent, very powerful, and very alive. And it can make things happen, but we need to focus our attention in there. It's like we need to park our awareness or our consciousness. It's like have a parking place in your longing. And then slowly we start feeding that with the energy instead of feeding the resistance of why it can't happen and why it didn't happen in the past and why people won't want it to happen. Those are all the things that are getting in our way. So when I talk about allowing, it's learning to allow those old energies of resistance to just be there. I'll just read a little paragraph from this book here. It says, "You will learn in this book that when you resist any part of your dream character, it only means that you believe you are him or her. However, when you learn to just allow the experience of the dream character to be here, you can wake up from the dream and realize you are not that character. And then transformation happens quite naturally." Now, this was written by somebody called Pernilla Lillarose, and the book is called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself. I'm just having a little fun with everyone. But that book, I wrote that about 6 years ago, I think. That shows you how to allow, how to listen, how to be present with what you normally resist. It's actually a very simple book that takes you by the hand and walks you through it. And if you are interested, you can always go to my website at lillarose.com. That's LILLAROSE.com, and go under the product tab and you can find it there. But while we're here on the radio show, I want to keep encouraging you to embrace the concept of allowing so that you can move into heaven and liberation and oneness and let go of resisting your experience. Oh my goodness, how often have we resisted our experience, right? And it keeps us stuck because whatever we resist, if we believe that this is true about us, let's say we have a belief about ourselves that is not very nice. And as long as we believe that is who we are, right? If we believe that dream character is me, then I will resist it. When I resist it, I feed it my energy, and I feed it my energy, and that is how I keep it alive. So by resisting anything about ourselves, it's really, it kind of exposes to ourselves that we are believing that this is true about ourselves. And that's how we keep it alive. Now, I know it's not easy to just let go of some deep-rooted and deep-seated beliefs like that. It takes more than just saying, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Sometimes you can do it, and it's wonderful. It's very liberating. But for most of us, it is a process of just dissolving the energy that has been engaging with these thoughts, with these beliefs, and with these feelings. And I shared a lot about it last week when I shared how I by allowing, I liberated my dream character called anticipation, the anticipator. And I did that by consistently allowing the energy of anticipation to be there. That means I did not resist it, and I did not grasp for it or get into it, believing it and going along with it, which I have been doing most of my life probably. We all have our specific, unique flavors where we have fed into a dream character because we really believed that this was true and that we had to. But for me, it was just slowly allowing the energy of anticipating, just allowing that. And then little by little, when you allow anything in yourself, you will realize that you create space between you and that energy. Because when you take your hands off, where you keep trying to resist it or believing it by going along with it, that is the glue that keeps you connected to whatever it is that you want to get rid of. I hope you really get that. You may, if you want to listen to this broadcast again, it will be as a replay in about a week or so. You might want to listen to these things, for a while until your body gets it, where it's not just a mental concept, but where you start practicing it and bringing it into your own experience. For instance, if you have something right now that you know you're resisting, right? Could be fear, could be sadness, heaviness, and I'm talking about emotions right now. If that's something you just keep wanting to push away, resist, keep it away, keep it at a distance. You may keep it at a distance, but that which keeps it at a distance, that's your resistance. And that distance is always going to keep it at a distance. But you will never be free from it because you're resisting it, you're pushing it away. That is what keeps it right out there. You can still feel it and sense it, but you're not fully involved in it, but it's there and it's waiting. It's just waiting for you. When your resistance gets a little less and comes closer, you push it away again, right? So you push it away again. And this is the pattern that we all are stuck in by trying to push something we don't want away. We do it either through spiritual bypassing. We can pretend it's not there or pretend that's not true for us. Or we can just turn our face away, turn our energy away from it. But we have to keep doing something to keep it at a distance. And it is not going to go away, quote unquote, go away. It's not going to change. It's staying there right until the moment that you allow it. Because the moment that you allow it, your energy changes. And the grip that was holding on to this thing that you want to get rid of, that you use either to push away or to swirl around in it, when you loosen your grip, when you allow this energy to just be here, something softens and you create a distance between that which you want to get rid of and you. So it's that. I hope you get this. And if you have a question, please send me a chat or call in here, or you can always contact me through my website at lilarose.com. You can send in questions. You can go to my Facebook page. I'm just so, I just want you to get this, and I want to be there and support you in getting this, because it's going to make a total difference in your life when you really get it in your body. So you can just think about this, what it is, if there's anything you need support with, because we're going to go on a short break right now. And we'll continue this talk about allowing, and we'll go into that a little more after the break. So we'll be right back.
Becoming a well-rounded person in our modern society is no easy task. We're much too busy working, raising families, and trying to carve out a few precious moments of peace, let alone worry about becoming self-actualized. Hi, I'm Alan Weisberg, founder of School of Human Potential, and we get it. The reason for starting the school was to help people like you become well-rounded and self-actualized without taking a lot of time or money. We found and filmed world-renowned experts and put their knowledge into easily accessible online courses spanning various topics of mind, body, and spirit. You can go at your own pace and access them on any device. To start, go to www.schoolhp.com. Our hope is that you allow us to take you on a journey leading to a new you. Here's to you reaching your full potential.
You are listening to the Awakened Radio Network. Our website is awakenedradio.net. Join us in our live chat room to interact with and listen to some of the world's very best teachers on self-empowerment, wealth consciousness, energy healing, and geopolitics. Take part in our live forum, shop in our store, look around, read our magazine, Thrive Evolutionary Consciousness. We are here for you with live talk about real matters that matter to you. You can be a part of the Awakened Radio Network by visiting awakenedradio.net today. We look forward to getting to know you.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. And welcome back, my friends. This is Pernilla Lillerose, your host at Evolutionary Women Radio. And just want to remind you again, if you would like to call in, the number here is 334-649-7204. You can chat in. It's really, this work that we're doing here is so essential for all of us. If we really get this thing about allowing, we separate ourselves from that which is not true about us in the first place, but we believe it's true, which is why we resist it, and that's why it keeps sticking onto us, and that's why we have to keep resisting it or doing something so it won't consume us, because we believe it's so true, these things about us, that it's very hard to just stop and allow them instead of resisting them. And there's a message here from Teresa. Let me just see here. What I saw is that something I resist can have different layers. Yes. And I can skip one layer. I have to start with the one on top. Yes, otherwise it doesn't really work. And knowing that it is sometimes difficult to see what the top layer is, and allow that one, and then the next one, and then see what the next one is. Yes. So, for instance, I cannot start with the third layer. And Teresa, this is so well said. It's so true. You know, in my book, I talk about it as the petals of a flower. And the petals of a flower, they open one at a time, and it's always the outer one or the top one that opens first. Until the top petal has opened, the ones underneath them cannot open, can they? It's impossible. And it's so, I just love how you shared that here. It's so true. We need to find the top one, the current one, your direct experience this very moment. And when you allow that, yes, there is a very good chance that the next come up and say, hey, me too, I want to be liberated too. And that's how it's supposed to be, because all the parts of us that we've been resisting into this little tight knot, right? They all want to be free, of course. And they deserve to be free. Every part of you is already free, but it's because we are holding it in bondage, right? That's our resistance. That keeps us in a state of what we can call hell or separation. That's because we are holding it tight. So yes, if you can it's a matter of learning to get very, very sensitive to yourself. And then you can feel like, oh no, my experience right now is this here. And I'm going to just be present with this feeling of whatever it is, or this belief that says whatever. And then you just allow it, right? You allow that petal or that layer to open up. And once it's opened up, you will experience more sense of freedom, because another part of you has just been liberated. But it is a process. And, I have been on this path for many, many years. And when I got in touch with that anticipator about a month ago, I have known that was there for a long time, and I've worked with it, I've been with it, I've seen it, but it was sticky. There was something sticky about it. And for some reason, that night where I couldn't sleep because of jet lag when I was visiting my family in Denmark, and I just was kind of forced just to be with it because I didn't have anything else to do except lying there and be present with these energies. And suddenly, it was just being liberated, and it was because now this was on the top, and this was the top layer, and I could just allow it, and then finally, poof, it let go. And some of the flavor is still there, right? It's like a rose, smells of a rose, whether one petal falls off or not. I mean, that's probably a very bad metaphor, so let's skip that one. But there is still the tendency is still there for a while, but the part of me that was grasping for it or resisting it, that is what has changed. And Teresa, you'll notice that now when you can allow that top layer that you're feeling right now, just allow that. Just allow whatever the flavor of it is. Just let it be here right now. It's perfectly fine. It does not define who you are. And because of that, you don't need to engage with it anymore, because it's not going to do anything for you anyway. If you want to, you can ask that layer, what it is that it needs, or what it needs to know, or what it needs to hear. And then just listen. Find out what specifically, because sometimes these layers, they need to know something before they are ready to fully let go. And that is the process many times. Like for me that night that I shared last week about, that was the process of just allowing it. And then the more I could allow it, instead of going along with it, right, following the anticipator into the next moment and the next, what I needed to do, I just allowed it. And then I could start seeing it more and feeling it more and listening to it. And then I know, then I could see what it was that it was longing for. And then I could tell that layer, you don't need to go there anymore. And then it went like, oh, really? And it was like as if that part didn't know that. But the more I created a distance between me and it, the more I could listen. And then my true wisdom would know exactly how to respond to that part. And then I would say, no, you don't need to go there anymore. And then it would relax, and then it would come back, and then I would just say it again. So, Teresa, you may have something that really is your unique flavor that this part needs to know. And you just let it know it as many times as it needs to. That's all. That's how simple it is. And then suddenly, a lot of that energy has let go of, and the energy is always me, it's us connecting with that belief. It's us doing it. So it's all that's happening is that we take our engagement with it away. And then it can just fly away. Then this petal can just be on its way and just float around, because there's nothing wrong with the petal. It's just that we were holding on to it and contracting around it and making it become something that it really isn't. It's just an energy. So I hope that's helpful, and I'm very happy that you shared that. Thank you so much for for bringing that to all of us, because this is what we need to hear, from each other. More examples about how it works. So it's not just me sharing my little story. We all have our unique story, and they're all valuable, and there's nobody here who knows more than others. There's just some people, they're okay going up, standing up and sharing it. But when you do it with yourself, you will have your own little story and your experience to share with others. And then you will probably inspire others just to do the same. That's how it works. There was one specific flavor that I wanted to address today, especially for us women, but I'm sure it's just as much for men. I started teaching again last night. I teach meditation and mindfulness at the university here in Santa Cruz, and I started a new class last night. But I also started another class called Women Empowerment, and it always inspires me so much to be with these young students. They're probably around 20 or so. It's just so inspiring because they're so wise and they have so much to share. And then when we talked in the women empowerment class, the subject came up when they were sharing some of the things that they already knew about themselves as women, where they are holding back. When they are around the male energy, many times they notice that they're holding back more. They're not just speaking as freely as they would do when they're with other women. And one of the things that most of us have heard as women is that you are too sensitive. Have you ever heard that? You're too sensitive. And I was, for some strange reason, I was a little surprised that these young women, they had already heard that more than once, and it made me sad because it's in a way, it's such a downer for a woman, because it's not true that you or I are too sensitive. What is true is that we are sensitive. I am sensitive, but I'm not too sensitive. I'm very sensitive to my environment, to my own inner environment and the outer. I'm very sensitive. I'm tuned in to what happens around me. I'm tuned into if somebody is being rough on somebody and the impact that it has on this other person or on an animal or on the nature. I'm very sensitive and tuned into that. And as women, that's a natural part of being a woman, that we are sensitive. But we are not too sensitive. If at any point you have heard that and taken that in as truth, I just want to let you know that that's not true. But what happens as a woman, if we are not being listened to or honored in our sensitivities, and that just means in our connection with our environment, in our connection with nature, connection with the impact that certain things have on other people, that's because we are in tune with our senses in our body. And this is natural for us. This is how we are as women. And when somebody says to you, you are too sensitive, when you basically are just sensitive, we're either going to shut down and think, oh, well, I better not share that here, because it's being misunderstood. Or we may get emotional. And I know I have done both in the past and may even still do some of it. But it's when we are not being acknowledged as a woman for our feelings, our senses, our wisdom and our knowledge, we might get upset. Or we might get upset, and that may come out as teary, as sadness, or as anger, or as fear. It may show up in emotions that get a little bit they might distort what we really want to say, what we really mean. And then when we get emotional about that we're not being received, that's often when we're being told, even again, I see how sensitive you are, see. And what we do then as women is we start internalizing that and believing that, oh, there's something wrong with me. And, at that moment we start resisting our feelings, what we know, our wisdom. We may hold really amazing solutions for many problems. Actually, not we may. We hold a lot of wisdom and solutions for the problems in the world. But because we don't trust ourselves, because we have internalized this belief that there's something wrong with me, we hold back many of the things that are needed in the world. And that was definitely one of the motivations, one of the motivators that I started this broadcast here on Tuesdays, because I want you as women, including myself, I want us all to know that we can trust that wisdom, that inspiration, that movement that just comes from the inside. That is just who we are. And you see, when you squash that, when you resist that, you not only create separation between you inside and that you know, so you create a split inside. There's a separation. And you hold something back about yourself, right? You resist. It's like one of those layers that you talked about, Teresa, or it's one of those petals that I talk about. We keep it squashed. We keep it closed. It's an energy that wants to burst through and express itself and make itself known and show its beauty. But instead of allowing that, we squash it. And there we have separation. That's your hell. That's your suffering. So the more you can learn to just allow what you have previously suppressed or resisted or denied, just see if you can make a little space for that. Just see if there's a feeling or an emotion or anything when you just breathe into yourself right now and kind of scan your body, scan your being. Is there anything that stands out? Could be a contraction, a discomfort, a heaviness. Could also be an aliveness, a joy, an inspiration. Be anything. Just see, what is it if you scan your body? What is your experience right now? What is the felt sense right now? And just allow that. If you can, if you're in touch with it right now, just allow that. Take a breath into that. It can be something that's really alive in you that you've been afraid of to get full access to. Or it could be something that's contracted that you've tried to get rid of. But this moment, we're just going to allow it. And I want to invite you to take a breath into it. And this is the bridge to heaven. This is your bridge to heaven, to liberation, to oneness. First with yourself, and then with the world. So breathe into this, whether it's contraction or expansion, that you're not quite sure how to be with. You don't need to do anything with it, actually. Sometimes we think we need to do something about it, right? Just breathe into it and let it be there. Get used to the idea that you don't need to believe, resist, or grasp for these feelings. You can just allow them. I often use the metaphor of the ocean, right? The ocean allows every wave, every current, every temperature, every fish, seaweed, rock. It allows everything. See if you can get behind yourself in a way where you just allow. Allow you, all of you, to be here in however way you are. And thank you, by the way, Teresa. You say, I love talking about allowing. I feel the freeing that it does. Yes, that's exactly it. It does free things up because moving from resistance to allowing, you let go of the holding pattern that keeps something stuck and unmovable. And yet you want to get rid of it because it doesn't feel good. What it is that doesn't feel good is our resisting it. That's where the suffering and the pain comes from. It's our resistance. So keep practicing to breathe into whatever it is that is your experience right now. There is nothing you need to get rid of in the way you think you do. And that does not mean you need to allow yourself to be treated in a bad way. That is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about allowing the world to turn you into a doormat. We're talking about allowing your experience, your felt sense, to open up, to express itself, to speak to you. That's what we're talking about allowing. If somebody is not treating you well, there's a good chance you have a feeling inside of, no, I don't want that. That's not okay with me. But if this outside experience or person or authority scares you, or you believe them more, or they use maybe physical, have more power than you physically, then there is a tendency to turn away from this no that you're feeling inside. That's the one I would like to invite you to allow this no to come forth. Even if you may not be able to speak it out loud in your circumstance, in that situation, that does not mean you have to suppress this feeling of no inside of you. You just allow it, you feel it, and you let it direct you. You let yourself be guided by your inner wisdom, by allowing it. You see, that's when you start listening. So you allow this no, if there is a no, and then you start listening, and then the no says, this is not right to be treated this way. And inside you go like, yeah, you're right, this is absolutely not right, because you already know that. Your wisdom is telling you that. And if somebody's been telling you, oh, you're too sensitive, you will know inside that that's not true. It's not true. You are just being sensitive to what is true for you, the circumstance, the world. Because we know, we do know. The moment you listen, something will already change. So let's bow to the possibility of allowing. Let's bow and allow. We bow and allow our experience just to be as it is. And you take a deep breath into it. And as you do that, you're coming in alignment with yourself. And you start, instead of living in separation inside with yourself, you start living in oneness with yourself, and you move into the world from a place of power, because that's the real power. Real power is when you live in alignment with the truth of who you are. And if there are many layers that have been covering you from living your truth, you allow the layers. You allow the fear. You listen to the fear. And eventually, you start acting to help the fear feel more relaxed, feel more confident. You find out, wow, yeah, it is scary to be in that situation. What do we need to do? You just ask the fear, like, what do you need? And the fear will let you know. It says, we need to get out of here, or this is not a good situation, or I need to talk to somebody else to get some feedback or what to do, right? You just ask that part of yourself. When you allow it, it will let you know. It will, because it knows. It simply knows. The question is, are you listening? Are you listening to your experience? Or are you listening to what other people are saying? Or are you listening to what your mind tells you you should do? Because that's not wisdom either. It comes from a deep place of knowing, and it's in every one of us. So I always want to encourage you to really take this seriously about allowing, so that you're not trying to resist any part of yourself, and instead you come in full alignment and in oneness with you, which is really being in full alignment with your soul or your spirit or your divinity. You can use whatever word you want. I don't care. You'll know it. When you're in alignment, it's like everything just falls in place. And then you start moving from a whole different energy. And I'm noticing we're getting close to the top of the hour, and this was another really wonderful time we spent together to practice allowing. And it's not something we always know how to do, and that's why I want to share as much as I can here on the radio show. If you want to learn some more, feel free to browse around on my website, LillaRose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com. And I offer many different things, books and tapes and CDs, and I have free discovery sessions you can sign up for, so we can, it's a 30-minute session where we find out where you're at, where you want to be, and if I might be the right person to help you get that, to help you achieve the freedom that you're looking for, to become who you are, to live in full alignment and start expressing your full potential. That's what I want for all of us. And when you really learn how to do that, you will notice that things will change for you, and your life will get more in alignment with the fulfillment and the longing and the wisdom that you know is possible in your heart. So please check it out, LillaRose.com, or you can order the book either as a download or a real copy, and it's called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself. It's a step-by-step helping hand to help you get there. And it's lovely to be here with you, and I just so appreciate the feedback I get from some of you wonderful listeners. And look forward to being here with you again next week. And I wish you many blessings and a beautiful week. Take good care. Bye-bye.
You won't catch us sleeping through the fight at night. For all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened. Come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader.